through the form too.
It started basically, I think, coming around in the late 30s and 40s, and it started in Trinidad and Tobago, mainly with a lot of the kids that, you know, were growing up there, and they didn't have instruments. So,
Oh, really?
you know, it's a kind of a poor Caribbean island,
Sure.
and as from what I've learned over the years, is it kind of started with the like biscuit tins that were left from like the military.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know, kids would start just beating on like a piece of metal to, you know, get sound out of it or rhythm out of it.
Right.
And then they realized as they beat down the metal
Yeah.
that it actually started to create a tone. And they originally started, you know, kind of tuning out the metal so they could get like 3 or 4 tones out of the metal.
Sure.
And then they realized that with taking oil drums that were left behind, and Trinidad's kind of a oil-rich island from, you know, next to Venezuela, and they had oil drums down there that the kids actually started taking, and they were actually able to pound out, you know, more and more notes. So I think maybe they started probably like with a more of a pentatonic style scale out of one drum, and then some of the pioneers that became, you know, pretty famous steel drum tuners or builders realized they could actually get a chromatic scale into the drum. So they just kept tuning the notes and refining it until what you've got today, which is more of a modern steel pan sound. And you know, thanks to all the Trinidadian tuners and players and the musicians down there, the instruments become, you know, known worldwide.
layman looking at a steel drum, all these different sort of patterns right here, are these
Those are the notes. Yeah, those are the notes. So you know, I have a chromatic scale. My lowest tone in this drum is my low F.
Oh, okay.
So they make different builders build different styles of double seconds. This is called a double second pan, and some are low E. So
Okay.
they can, you know, even go like a half step lower than this drum, down to the low E. My lowest tone is F, so if I wanted to go to the E above F, I'm an octave above that.
Oh, okay.
So I have that low tone of F, but I don't have the low tone of E below that.
I see,
So-
and all this is a whole different tunage.
Oh yeah, this is
over
a
there.
half step, basically almost like well this drum, they're tuned in a whole tone scale. So really
Oh,
really
wow.
dreamy, right?
Wow. I see.
And that's a half step above. This drum is a half step above that.
Oh,
Right.
oh, I see.
So chromatically, like here's my F sharp is over here.
Oh, gotcha.
So I
That
gotta
must have been
practice.
something that you practiced over and over.
Almost.
There with
Almost.
the
I'm a drum set player that always liked singing, but I'm not a good singer.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have a terrible voice, but I like melodies. So, you know, it probably was an instrument that attracted me that way. Plus, I really love the sound of the steel drum. And I guess you probably started around 85. I didn't
Was
play
it
in
complicated
85.
for you to learn
Oh,
the
it
steel
still
drum?
is. Yeah.
Is it-
I
is
mean,
it
man, there's
difficult?
so many great players, and I'm not one of them. But
You're
yeah,
humble
no.
man.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
right,
you know,
right.
coming from a steel from drum set and being able to play a melodic instrument, it's a lot of fun for me.
And the
So.
way you hold your sticks is a specific way. See?
Well, sometimes Ron taught me this also. I mean, you know, he plays with 3 mallets, so like kind of like a vibes player, but not always.
Right,
You know,
right.
if I was just playing like, so I can kind of strum a chord, you know, at the same time.
Right.
So I can get, you know, basic outlines of chords, and
Right.
you know, and the better players definitely can. I mean, they can voice a chord like any other instrumentalist. That's a big problem with steel drums is that, you know, the layout of the instruments, and we were talking earlier, you know, there's different steel drums in the steel drum family. So there's what's called a lead pan, which is, you know, usually like 32 notes in one drum.
One drum has 32.
Yeah, and it's chromatic, but it's laid out completely different than the instrument that I'm playing, which is called a double second.
Oh, wow.
And the double second think of that more like a cello or something, and then the lead steel drum would be considered more like a violin.
Wow.
Right, so there's different ranges in the steel drums, right?
So you can't go from one steel drum to another steel drum?
I mean, there are some guys that do that have been playing for years that, like, you know, some of the players out of Trinidad that are great players, yeah, they've mastered, you know, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 instruments that they know the layout, and they're able to play all of them equally as well. But mainly, you know, guys that are like lead steel drummers. There's another guy I should mention, Victor Provost, probably one of the top steel drummers in the world right now. He's a jazz steel drummer. I mean, and he plays the lead pan. He's incredible. I mean, if you get a chance to listen to him, you know, listen to his music. You know, Latin jazz, but can play anything on the instrument, you know. So you think of those guys, like the way the instrument lays out and the way you play it, you would think of them as, he would sound like a really great sax player. You know, he's playing the same kind of melodic lines and soloing in that kind of vein, you know. So he's not really chording when he solos. It's very difficult to play a chord and play the lines. So you end up playing very linear most of the time. No,
to this
just the timbre of
performance?
the instrument for me. I mean, I think it's
What do you
just
mean the timbre?
you know, the way that the instrument rings, the tuning of the notes, you know, just the overall sound of each note to me is such a different kind of thing. So it's like I said, when you hear that drum, it's got a lower range than the lead steel drum.
Okay.
So I have in the lower register when I'm playing down in the lower tones, it's just has a pretty tone to it.